I stood in the kitchen, feeling the hard plastic brace on my leg and the pressure of wearing my shoes on the wrong feet, trying to figure out the expression on my dad's face. I'd never seen that look on his face before. He looked upset or disappointed or maybe even sad. That's when he crouched down, looked me in the eye, and said, "Chris, the doctors are giving up on you." That's what I heard anyway. I could hear the names the kids called me running through my mind. Cripple, loser, retard. I could feel a knot forming in the pit of my stomach as a tear streamed down my face. I would never be normal. My dad stood up and said, "We're not giving up. You're going to fix this," he said. "You're going to fix this by watching your feet." My parents knew from a young age that I had serious trouble. When I was born, both of my feet were severely turned in. The doctors tried putting my feet in casts, the plastic braces. They tried special shoes, and even putting my shoes on the wrong feet, and nothing would work. So eventually, they gave up, and I was on my own. The first couple of years were the worst. No matter where I was going, what I was doing, or who I was with, I had to watch my feet. And if I ever forgot or I was ever distracted, as kids sometimes are, my parents were quick to say, "Watch your feet, Christopher, watch your feet." If I looked up, I would stumble. If I ran, I would trip. I totally avoided games and sports with other kids because I was petrified that I would trip over my feet and land literally on my face. So that's when my parents decided that it would be a great idea to sign me up for soccer. Yeah, that's right, soccer. So soccer will be good for you, they said. You know, you'll gain confidence and you'll make friends, they said. I know their hearts were in the right place, but in the end, it turned out to be the most torturous, gruesome 9 years of my life. I remember one game in particular. I made my way to my usual spot on the bench, you know, smiling and nodding and looking like I was in conversations that I clearly was not. I sat on the bench, and I was wondering, how is it possible to be sweating and have your hands and feet freezing at the same time? Like, it's amazing the impact that terror can have on you. So it was some sort of obligation to my parents, I'm sure. My coach decided it was my turn to go on the field. So we were up by 1, so, you know, what could go wrong? I stood up, and as I stood up, the kid next to me leans over and whispers under his breath, "Don't mess this up." I knew what he meant. He didn't have to explain. So I looked down at my feet, and I willed them out into my position in the defense, the least likely place to touch the ball, or so I thought. The whistle's blown. The other team kicks the ball directly to yours truly. So I panicked, I took 2 very well-planned steps, and I kicked the ball as hard as I could, at the same time completely wiping out and falling flat on my back. As I laid there, completely embarrassed, trying to catch my breath, I looked over my shoulder, and I saw the other team score on the net. You see, I tried to kick it down the field, but it went directly out to the other player, and they scored. You know, I really messed everything up. So over the years, I worked hard to correct the problem. No matter where I was going, what I was doing, I kept watching my feet relentlessly until eventually I didn't have to anymore. I can't tell you the exact moment that I no longer had to watch my feet, because nothing had really changed. I was the same sad, lonely little boy. I was no better at sports, and I certainly had no more friends. The braces weren't gone. They had just become psychological. Well, after reviewing my life, I can tell you that I stand before you today as a man that's finally gotten over those psychological braces. I've marched as a commander of 400 troops in the Canadian military. I've walked in the sands of Afghanistan with the Afghan police. I've stood at 20,000 feet looking across at Mount Everest. And I've stood on the beaches of Mexico and married the woman of my dreams. You see, all I ever had to do was look up. That's it. That's the answer. I'd spend so much time looking down at my feet, obsessing over them, worrying about them, staring at them, that I never once looked up to see where I was or how far I'd come. It's too easy to focus on all the things that are wrong with us or the things we don't like. I mean, we're constantly bombarded with images of what's perfect and beautiful. Well, what I've learned is that as long as you try to live up to someone else's definition of what's beautiful and perfect, you'll never be enough. And you'll end up just standing there watching your feet. I'm proud to say I'm standing here sharing my story with you. I can see you. I see a bunch of beautiful, amazing, supportive people here to learn and grow. And that's the amazing thing, is that in every moment we have a choice. We get to choose the things that we pay attention to. What would your life be like if you today chose to focus on the things you love about yourself and the things that make you unique? Thank you.